All right, all right, all right. I want to start by simply welcoming all of my fellow human hackers to video number 2 and week number 2 of the Cell Ops program. Today's content is going to be exactly what I promised you it would be. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be working with slides. We're going to be actually jumping in to a script in Google Docs that a consulting client has actually provided me, and I'm tasked to actually build this script from start to finish for their actual dealer network. So super incredible stuff here. We're going to be taking it slow today. I would highly suggest if you guys want to follow along, split your screen, put this video on one screen, and on the other half of the screen, go ahead and open up a Google Doc, and you can follow along this process and ultimately attempt to create your own human hack and alchemy script, because I'm going to show you exactly what I do, the process that I follow, and everything in between. But before we do, let me give you guys some context on this particular gig, just so you guys have a clear understanding of what's going on here. So as you can see at the top of my screen here, here's the script, and this is for a manufacturing company, third biggest manufacturing company in Las Vegas, Nevada, 200th fastest growing company in America right now, according to Inc. 500. Give you some context on this particular deal. These individuals are a leading provider of cutting-edge, innovative body armor, some of the best body armor on the planet. They outfit places like Mandalay Bay, the M Casino, and if any of you have seen the new Fast and the Furious, Tyrese Gibson was actually wearing one of their vests, a tactical carrier. It was a 3A+. So these individuals, they innovate, build, and craft some of the best body armor on the planet, super protective, and everything in between. Now, to give you some context on this deal, I was brought to the table by the vice president of the company, Andrew Sabatino, and I had worked with Andrew, and we all run around in a similar circle, all go to the same masterminds, War Room, Unicorn, Powerhouse, all these different masterminds, and we know all the same people. So I was brought into this company as a consultant. Last year, they did Google, here, let me tell you exactly what they did in revenue. We will do full report, and I will just share this with you real quick so you guys have some context on what type of company this is. So we will do custom, let's do 2020 till now. It's about a year. Let this load real quick, and I'll have you guys some context so you can see in real time what this company actually generates. Then we'll talk about how they generate it. So the last 12 months, they've done over $57 million. A year prior to this, they were doing about $9 million a year. So with explosive growth comes explosive pain. And those pain points with me that brought me in as a consultant was structuring their sales operations, making sure that their CRM is automated and set up properly to where all the flows work, making sure that they have an LMS, a learning management system, because training is not something you've done, it's something you do, to where we're all reading off the same scripts, we all have the same skills, and we all bring the same game to the table. What ended up happening with this particular company is I rolled in on a 90-day consulting retainer at about $750 an hour, and we based it at $18,000 a month. I come into the organization, I start working with the salespeople, I start working with the sales teams, we start restructuring it, and sure enough, 90 days, we take these guys from basically 290 grand a month to 800,000 a month, and here we are 5 months later, and we're doing about $1.2 million a month right now. So I've been able to grow this. This is my sweet spot. Companies with 8 figures that have already had some proof of concept and market demand. Very, very simple for me to come in, double revenue practically overnight if they don't have all these operations set up, and even if they do, sometimes they're set up ineffectively. So I came into the company and did my deal there. The contract ran out, and the same thing that happens pretty much almost every time is we wrap up the contract and they want more. Well, then they try to recruit me. That's what they typically want to do. So unfortunately, I make too much money to be recruited, and you would have to pay me $200 grand, $300,000 a month for me to even consider coming on typically full time. and giving up everything else because I just have so many revenue streams. Luxvoni pays me a salary, CellOps pays me a salary, I get bonuses from rev shares at Luxvoni. I have 5 to 8 consulting clients at any given time, and majority of those are 10 hours, 15 hours a month type of consulting deals, and 2 of those that happen to be here in Las Vegas, Nevada are massive consulting deals. And they started as consulting deals, but then I came in as a 1099 and I started operating as a VP of sales to an extent. And that's what I typically do. So 1, I need equity. 2, I need a massive salary. And 3, I need some type of bonus pay. So both of these deals, these bigger consulting deals that I mentioned, they typically require 1 to 2 days a week in the business. Now when I first started, it was 6 to 7 days, but once I built the leadership team below me to report to me, they can focus on working in the business and I can focus on working on the business, right? So long story short, this deal, it pays me $20,000 a month in base as a 1099, as a consultant still. On top of that, I get a 2% override. So 2% on $1 million is, 20 grand a month. We typically range between $1 million and 1.3. So I'm either making $20,000 to $23,000 a month in bonus pay from it. And then on top of that, I have some interest in the company as well. So that's what it takes to get me to typically do those. Now, I don't do a lot of them. I can only do, 1 to 2 a year. But yeah, they're super exciting. They're fun. It's got to be a really interesting product. I've got to be aligned with the CEO and the C-suite. But yeah, they're really fun. So give you some context on this revenue. 50 million, majority of that was consumer sales. These guys have some of the best teams. They have Nick Fisher and CellOps running their paid traffic. They have Sean Balser doing all their strategy. They have Dimitri running all their Google AdWords. And between those 3 people, they're doing almost 40 million a year in consumer sales. So what I'm here to do is build the corporate vertical, build the dealer vertical, build the GSA vertical, and all the other, extremely higher LTV verticals that are corporate, institutional, police departments, etc. So let's go ahead and jump into this and we'll start from scratch. So as you guys can see, one of the first things that I do when I start a script right off the bat is I've gathered my intel. There's a lot of stuff that's gone into this prior to me getting here. I first did a consumer script for them. I then did a corporate script for them. And now I am on the dealer script for them, which is their dealer market vertical. So it always starts with one thing. We always put the logo at the top. We put the title of the actual script. So this is the Safe Life Defense CellOps Dealer script. Directly below that, I go ahead and add in all the titles for the script. So as you can see, these are actual headings. So this context is an actual heading. And we go ahead and add all of that. So you have call preparation here, small talk here, agenda, attention, and frame here. We'll delete that. I was messing with this morning before I did this, so we'll start completely over. Allow the prospect to tell their story, elicitation and qualification, the recommendation and the transition, the 2 ways I can help, option number 1, close, option number 2, close, objection, stalls, and rebuttals. So very simple process. We go ahead and write those actual standings. We'll delete this and start from scratch, and then that gives us a table of contents. So we go over here, we hit insert, we go to table of contents, we apply that table of contents. Now, on today's video, we're going to start with these 3 things that are highlighted. So yellow means that they're in progress, and then we'll mark them off as green as we complete these. So first step, we've got call preparation, one of the most important things you can do when it comes to a script. Second, open, small talk, and rapport. Third, agenda, attention, and frame. That's what we're going to be covering today. So let's go ahead, guys, and roll into the call preparation. And let's talk about the goal of call preparation. Now, the goal with call preparation is to get you focused so you can give the prospect your undivided attention. And if we fail to prepare, of course, we prepare to fail. So as we go into these, you should always have already gathered your intel, done your analysis, and actually come up with a hypothesis of how you're going to operate on this call and what your desired result at the end of this call, of course, is. So step number 1, make sure you have gathered your intel and came up and actually formed a conclusion So step number one is you want to make sure you've gathered your intel and actually formed a conclusion of how you're going to use that intel on that particular call. So we go back to intel gathering in week one. First thing that we do is what? We gather the intel. Second thing we do is we analyze that intel. Third thing that we do is we come up with a hypothesis around that intel, which gives us an actual what? Game plan. In today's world, there's too many resources that you have at your disposal as a social engineer and a human hacker to go into any interaction cold. That is how you set yourself up to fail. Always gather your intel. Very, very important. That's the first step. The second step is we want to make sure that you're in an office with zero distractions and you can focus on the prospect. So second piece here, you want to make sure that you guys are in an office with zero distractions and you can focus on the prospect. If you are in a call center and have multiple people around you and it's a loud environment, then we want to make sure that you have high-end headphones. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Next piece is you want to make sure you have your CellOps script directly in front of you all the time. Whether that's a paper format or a digital format. One thing that we like to do, which works pretty well, is in the top producers' offices. So we have a big boiler room in this room right here, and all these people are in the middle of this room and they are on the phone doing calls. So we've got 4 people in that particular room, right? All the top producers that are typically managers, head of corporate sales, head of dealer sales, head of consumer sales, whatever that may be, we put them in their own office. Now that gives them some focus, right? But the people that are in the actual boiler room there, they need headphones and they need to be able to get focused. So in those actual offices, what we do is we take the CellOps script for their actual market vertical, whether that's civilian sales, dealer sales, or corporate sales, and we literally put it right above their desk with the big easel pads that are sticky, and we write out it all the ways to where when they're on a call, whether that's Ring Central, Zoom, whatever, all they got to do is look up and they can follow that script. So that's super important. So you can pick, some people like digital, some people like paper. So there's that. Now, next piece here, make sure you have a notebook and a pen, because you're going to want to take notes on the prospect's current situation and define their desired situation. So always keep a notebook. As you can see, mine's right here on my desk. If I'm on a call, I have a notebook handy and I am taking notes on that prospect at all times, no matter what the circumstances are. So very important, make sure you've got a notebook and a pen so you can take actual notes. Next, we want to talk about make sure you're using high-end gaming headphones with a high-end mic. So what I would recommend, we like to use Alienware. Out of all the ones that we've tested, those seems to be the best. We buy I think they're about $100. They have 7.1 surround sound, so when you're on the call, no matter where you're at, you're immersed in the call. And then they have a high-end microphone that's noise cancellation to where they don't pick up all the noise around them. Those microphones seem to work so well. I have two guys on the phone with each other, side by side. They're both extremely loud, and we've never once had a prospect tell us that they can hear background noise. And in the gong call recordings, we don't hear it either. So the better that you invest in your equipment, the better that the quality of the calls will be. There is nothing. My biggest pet peeve is jumping on a call with an expert, a subject matter expert who promises me that they're there to grow my business, but they can't even invest in their equipment, and they show up on the phone with some piece of shit microphone that sounds like complete hell. I can't focus on what they're saying because I'm focused on how bad their quality is. And if they're a professional and they're doing a lot of these calls, it just shows me, hey man, you're not a professional, you're a novice, you haven't done a lot of these, and I'm not worth your time because you can't even invest in your equipment, and we're sitting here today on this call together and I can't hear a fucking word that you're saying. So you definitely don't want to be that guy. So make sure that you invest in your equipment. Make sure that you have some good quality stuff, or you're just going to piss people off. Don't want to do that. So make sure you have a good microphone and headphones. If you want to take it to the next level, you can use what I'm using to record this. I wouldn't recommend getting this for all your sales reps by any means, but I'm a VP of sales here, so I create all the training and big picture stuff. So I do a lot of recording, and I'm all about evergreening processes to where I can turn them into virtual videos and get people to train that way instead of taking time and taking a human out of the equation. Just makes no sense with technology today. So there's that. That's our call preparation. So what do we got? We got make sure you've got your intel gathered and you have come up with some type of hypothesis, some type of conclusion of how you're going to use that intel to get what you want out of the call. Second, you're going to make sure that you're in an office with zero distractions so you can focus on the prospect. If you're not in an office and you have a call center, a boiler room if you will, and there's multiple people in that room and it's loud, make sure you've got high-end gaming headphones. Third, you want to make sure you have your sell ops script directly in front of you at all times, whether that's in a paper format or a digital format. Fourth, you want to make sure you have a notebook and a pen because you're going to want to take notes on the prospect, and you're going to need to be able to jot that information down to where you can bounce back to it. I do not recommend taking notes in a Google Doc if you have one computer monitor. If you have 3 monitors and you can present on one monitor, take notes on another monitor, and have your script on the third monitor, you're welcome to do that. Next piece is you want to make sure that you're using high-end gaming headphones with a high-end microphone. I'll show you guys really quick the ones that we use. They look like this, $73. These are the ones that we purchased, 7.1 surround sound. They have them in white and black. You can get them right here on Amazon. I will put a link below this video so you can purchase these if you would like. So these are great headphones. Another great brand is Turtle Beach. They are another great brand of headphones. So you can get your people these. They have wireless versions. They have all of that. Wireless is nice if they're standing around, but they do require charging and more maintenance. Another great one is Razer. I have a pair of these. I have like 17 pair of these Alienware headsets. But I have this white, the ones I have are like $100. These aren't it. These are the ones I have at home. I use the Alienwares majority of the time, but I do have a pair of these. I'm a techie guy. I like collecting shit for whatever reason. So there's the type of headphones that you're going to want. If you're a VP or a sales director, you want to record, content. Yeti microphone with boom arm. This is what I have that I just showed you. That's the kit right there, $200. Great investment, good quality. This entire course is recorded on that microphone. So there's that. There's your pre-call preparation. Now that we covered that, that's everything that we're going to need to prepare for the actual call. Very, very important. So let's go back up here. Call preparation, we've completed that, and we've built out what we want our people to be doing when it comes to preparing for a call. One more thing I want to add here. with a positive attitude. So if you had a bad call prior to this call and you end that call, remember that call is done. The past is the past. Nothing happens about thinking or talking about the past. I don't worry about the past. If you had a bad call, it was not a good fit, move on to the next. Simple as that. So bring the energy, bring the A game. I don't care if you've had 5 bad calls. This one call could be $1 million deal. So always make sure that you're on point, you're sharp, you're a force to be reckoned with, and don't let that negative energy, don't let chaos and stupidness of people that don't deserve your product take a toll on you. Do not allow that. You must control your mind. Whoever can control that mind will win the game. You've got to control it. So that's the last thing I want to talk about with call preparation, okay? So next piece here that I want to chat about just a little bit, another important section, is we're going to talk about open and small talk. So how to open on the phone call. So this is where we're going to go now. Very, very important part. This is the first impression of that entire phone call. If you screw this up, you're done. So listen, the goal with the open, the small talk, and the rapport, it's to have a powerful open, right? If you nail your open, it will show the prospect that you're 1, a force to be reckoned with, 2, you're an expert, and 3, you're someone worth actually listening to. If you don't nail your open, you will be stuck in the croc brain, which means you will never make it to the limbic or the neocortex of the brain, and this is where the emotional and logical cells are actually made. So you've got to make sure that you get through that, and the only way that you get through that crocodile brain is you do that by nailing that open, building rapport, bringing your A game, being witty, being sharp. People buy from people that they like, so remember that going into this. And if you don't make it past that croc brain, you have ruined the call in the first 4 to 10 seconds of the call, and you will be clawing your way to get out of it the entire call. You will be doing business from a subordinate, low-status position. You will have not gathered and gained frame control. They will own the frame, which in return means that they own the menu and, of course, control the entire interaction from start. So you must nail this right off the bat. Very, very, very important. And too many people mess this up, and they wonder why they're not top producers. So let me share this with you. We'll jump into it. All right. Let's rock and roll here. So here's the deal, guys. Step number 1 when it comes to this, pretty simple. You've got your one-liner. You've got your open. Now, this is a very important part because this first line that comes out of your mouth is the first impression. Now, first impressions matter. Don't bullshit yourself. And first impressions can be the last impression if you fail to nail your first impression. So how do we nail the first impression? How do we come off as a force to be reckoned with, a subject matter expert, an absolute killer in our field, and somebody worth listening to? Well, the first thing we do is we've got to bring our A game. We've got to bring our energy, and we've got to show them how enthusiastic we are about serving them, and of course, enthusiastic about our products and services. If I call you and say, hey, John, I'm here to sell you how to grow your business by teaching you how to sell more. What are you going to do? You're going to hang up on me and say, this buffoon don't know how to sell and he's going to teach me how to sell? Click, right? Crocodile brain. Fight or flight. And in that case, I'm not fighting, I'm running. I don't want to have anything to do with you. So there's the first thing. So here's what I recommend. When you get into these calls, first piece that you want to do on your open is you want to anchor yourself some way to know that you're there to bring power, that you're there to bring it. And I do this, and I teach my sales departments and my sales teams to do this by doing one little simple thing. When you start your introduction, all you need to do is motion creates emotion, right? You're selling certainty in an uncertain world. You're selling confidence in a world that is, of course, not very confident. So how do we nail that? Let me move this board. I was doing a C-suite meeting this morning. So didn't move that. My apologies. And let me show you how you open on these bad boys. So very simple. You're going to stand up. You're going to get comfortable. You're going to be ready to rock and roll. You want to get loose, right? So the first thing that you want to do before you get into this is you want to stand up, because motion creates emotion, and this will help you anchor yourself to come off strong and bring your actual A game. Now, the problem of it is, guys, if I stand up the entire time, it's hard for me. I need to be able to sit down. So when the prospect starts talking, we get into elicitation and things like that, I need to anchor myself and say, hey, Dakota, it's time to slow down. It's time to listen. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So sit your ass down and listen to the prospect. That's what helps me. I stand up in my opens, I sit down, and the rest of the script, and I'll show you where I anchor in those 2 situations. But the first step is you want to stand up, because motion creates emotion. This will help you anchor yourself and come off strong and bring your A game. That's what it helps me do. So that's the first thing that I do, is I always stand up in this particular piece. The second thing we got to do is we got to build our first liner. So how are we going to come off? So again, this is a dealer script. We are selling to tactical shops and gun store owners all across the country. We currently have a pretty decent dealer network, $2 to $3 million a year, and I'm tasked with taking this from literally $2 to $3 million a year to about $24 to $30 million a year in the next 36 months. So I've got some time to do it. We're well on track to do that. I think we can do it in 1 year based off the traction that we're currently getting. But with that being said, that's who we're selling. So we've got to mirror this script because our audience is a little bit different, right? So the first line that I'm going to come off is I'm going to bring the power, and I've got to come off into this interaction, and it's either going to be good morning or good afternoon. So I'm going to say something along the lines of, good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales. At Safe Life Defense. Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. So we'll start with good afternoon, and then if it's morning time, we can always transition into morning. So good morning, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. Very simple line. Now, don't use that line. I got to show you how to portray that line, but we're going to start with simply writing that line, right? Second line, we intro, we come in, we got to ask them how they're doing. So we're selling a partnership program. They want to become Safe Life Defense partners to where they become dealers and can distribute our products, learn how to market like us, sell like us, and have $50 million in success like us. That's what we're selling. We're not really selling a vest. We're selling a current situation and a desired situation, and we're selling them. We have a portal on our website that shows customers where they can go in store and actually get this type of stuff. So there's that. So we want to refer to them as a partner. In a corporate environment, you're going to say, how are you, sir? How are you, ma'am? Okay? Very, very simple. They're going to come back. They're going to say good. They're going to say great, whatever. You're going to say that's good to hear. And we're typically talking to gentlemen, tactical shop guys. It's a different market. So we can use one of my little sayings. I've got 1 million of them. I've got some of them for corporates, some of them for consumers. We'll use this one. This is just witty. It brings it. It cuts through the glass. It gets everybody loose, right? That's good to hear. You gentlemen working hard today or hardly working? It's just, it's a cute little witty saying, right? Breaks the ice, gets us in. People buy from people they like. Charming, wittiness, sharp, all of that comes together in this first 4 to 10 seconds on this open small talk in this report section. So they're going to come back. They're going to say something along the lines of, hey, we're working hard, or we're hardly working, or we're doing a little bit of both, Dakota. And you're going to say, my man, my man, my man. Me and you both. And we're going to ask them, where you guys located, if you don't mind me asking? And then when they reply and they say Texas, they say something, we want to bring something witty. For example, if they say, hey, I'm out in Galveston, Texas. Oh shoot, I've spent about 60 days in Tiki Island right outside of Galveston, Texas. Beautiful women, great barbecue, lots of water, and God's country, man, what's not to love? Very simple. You know, we're just complimenting where they're from, building some, you know, some actual biases in there to where, you know, we've got something in common, right? Like I've been there, they've been here, or whatever. And then they may ask you about where you're located. So we'll start with that. And then the final piece is we need to purge them a little bit. We need to prime them to where we can get some context. So the best way that we can do that is we need to figure out what they're expecting from this call. Like, what would they want from us for this call? Because we're there to serve them. So I don't like coming out and just saying, hey, you know, I want to take control. I don't want to lose frame control. So how I would do that is I would probably say something along the lines, something like that. So what motivated you, John, to take the time out of your day and schedule this call with me? And what are you looking to accomplish from this call? Real simple, right? So look what we just did. We come in, we stand up. That's the first piece. We've got to stand up. And then after we stand up, we'll put this in brackets so it doesn't get confusing. And then we'll put a little space here, because that's where the script starts, right? So listen to this. Listen to how simple this is. Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? Now, we're going to talk about tonality in week 4, but just to give you a little bit, I come off very strong. Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. Emphasize on Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? You get lower. Apply scarcity. I'm a reasonable guy. You're looking to do business with a reasonable band. I'm applying those tonal patterns, correct? So here we go again. Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? You hear the Candace? Hear how it flows different? Now watch this. Good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? You think you're going to sell like that? Doesn't work. It's not about talking fast. It's about knowing when to slow down, when to speed up, when to apply scarcity, and when to leverage your tonal patterns. It's not just about what you say. It is about how you say it, because we're in a virtual context. You know, if you're on a Google Hangout, you can move your hands, you can use facial expressions and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, if you're on a phone call and you're selling, the only way to convey emotion is tonality. That's how we get through the brain and get to the emotional side, right? Tonal patterns. We've got to run those all the time. So good afternoon, John. Dakota here, head of dealer sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner? That's right there. Beautiful. He comes back. He says, great, man. We're doing great. How are you? I say, hey, I'm doing great. That's good to hear, man. You gentlemen working hard today or hardly working? You gentlemen working hard today or hardly working? You gentlemen working hard today or hardly working? He comes back. He says, man, we're doing a little bit of both. You know, we're cutting the ice here. He laughs when I make that comment. Bam, we're rocking and rolling. My man, me and you both. Just out of curiosity, John, where are you guys located, if you don't mind me asking? He comes back and says Houston, Texas. Man, I absolutely love Houston. I spent some time out in Galveston, Texas for about 60 days on Tiki Island. Great water, great women, great barbecue. What's not to love, my man? Boom, now we got that. We're building, we're coasting, we're witty, we're having fun, we're loose. And then at the very end, we want to prime them, we want to purge them, we want to get some context for the actual call. So now we ask them straight up, hey man, what motivated you to take the time out of your day, John, to schedule this call with me? And what are you looking to get from this call? Like, why are you guys calling us? What can we do for you? Now, we're not going to say, what can we do for you? We're going to say, hey, John, just out of curiosity, you know, hey, John, just so I can have some context, what motivated you to take the time out of your day to schedule this call with me? So I would say, just so I have some context, what motivated you, John, to take the time out of your day to schedule this call with me? Right? Simple as that. So we're good there. Let's do something with this. I'm going to get rid of this, move this over here, and then we will turn it into this. Well, you guys know, stand up. Very simple. Getting rid of it. Don't like the way it looks there. So there's that. Now we'll add this space, get rid of this space, make sure everything's straight. And here's our first line. Our second line. our third line, our fourth line, and our fifth line. So 4 to 10 seconds, you've got 4 to 10 seconds to nail this. And if you don't nail it, and you really nail this in the first line, if you can nail this in the first line, you can get through the rest of the small talk. But that first 4 seconds when you come in and say, "Good afternoon, John, Dakota here, head of corporate sales at Safe Life Defense. How are you, partner?" That is where everything changes. That's the first impression. What you're saying, they're either going to decompartmentalize you in the crocodile brain and you're going to be done, or they're going to say, "Man, this motherfucker's sharp. I wish I had this guy on my team selling my product." That's what you want to convey. I've sold and taken and done $100,000 deals with people. And as soon as we get done with the call, they say, "Man, I want you to come sell our stuff." And I say, "Well, I'm not for sale, my brother, but this is the next best thing I can do for you." So for example, we did a deal with a arts professor at Yale University. And we followed up on him. We were pressing him. He went on ghost on us. He was ducking us. And finally, my guys were running management calls on him, swapping it. They were doing a great job as far as follow-up goes. And he finally texted me and said, "Hey, man, you guys are too pushy. I'm not interested in doing business." And I reframed it and I said, "Hey, Magnus, I appreciate you reaching out and I appreciate your transparency. But what if we knew with complete certainty this was the one thing that you needed to grow your business to where you want to go? What if we knew with complete certainty this is the one thing that would change your life and your family's life? Would you honestly take advice from somebody who gives up on you at the first sight of resistance? Or would you trust to focus on somebody to build your products and sell your products, who is going to keep pushing, who is going to never give up, and who's actually going to have your best interest in heart by being a good coach?" We don't give up, and neither should you. Boom, $25,000 DocuSign was signed within 48 hours after that. So there's that. So that's the first piece of this, okay? Open, small talk, rapport. That's the goal. Now we've written that. So if you're following along with this, you can change it. You can do whatever. At the end of this video, if you need help, you can, book a consultation with me to where I can build your whole script for you, or I can jump on just a coaching call one-on-one and help you with it. It will come with a price, of course, but I'm happy to give some of you guys that type of accommodation if that really helps you get you to where you want to go. So let's keep on moving here. We'll move back up top. What do we cover? We got these two pieces completely done. So let's highlight them. Let's make them green. And let's move to this third component. And that's going to wrap up today's video. Okay? So now we've got our call preparation. We've got our small talk and rapport. And now we're going to move down to the agenda. Now, we've talked a lot about the agenda and what the goal of the agenda actually is. The agenda is very, very important. Now, if you're making cold calls and you're doing low-level, low-status shit, of course, it's going to be harder to control the frame because you're a nuisance. You're reaching out to somebody without their permission. That's why I believe setting up sales organizations and being good CEOs to feed our salespeople. If you want true closers, you need to feed true closers. If you want one guy to do 300 to $500,000 a month, he's going to need leads. If you spread that guy thin and say, "Hey, you got to go hunt business, you got to go close business, you got to go sustain business, increase LTV in business, and keep our churn low," guess what you're doing? You're going to set the boy up to fail. I'm not about setting my team up to fail. I'm about being a good CEO and a good VP and setting my people up to win. And to do that, it is way more effective, way more easy to set up evergreen marketing processes to feed the sales team. My guys wake up with 8 to 10 quality back-to-back appointments per day. It's easy as hell. I got guys out there making $15,000 a day simply cold calling, not really cold calling, but they're calling abandoned carts and saying, "Hey, this is Bobby Jackson with Safe Life Defense. Notice you were having some technical issues on the website and your order did not go through. This is a courtesy call, not a sales call. Just wanted to touch base with you, see how I can help you get protected and make sure you're accommodated." Boom, he does $15,000 a day doing that. Like, it's not that hard to do. $15K a day in that one thing. So that's what happens when you support your salespeople with good marketing. Everything amplifies. So, this isn't going to work in a cold call. This is going to work more of a demo format where maybe an SDR's booked the appointment, maybe a Facebook ad's booked the appointment, a YouTube ad, a Google ad, whatever it may be. But somebody's actually booked an appointment through your Calendly, through your scheduling software, or whatever it may be. So let's start with part number one of this and talk about, what our goal is. Now, In high-level mind tricks, we talked about how important frames are. And in every interaction, we have a frame, right? So if there's 2 people in an interaction, there's 2 frames. If there's 3 people, 3, 5, 5, 6, 6, 10, 10, right? There's always frames. Now, we talked about how frames, they don't collaborate. They collide, and one frame wins. So there's always an alpha frame in every interaction, and that alpha frame ends up winning the frame, controlling the interaction, owning it. And of course, whoever owns the frame owns the menu and owns the outcome of the interaction. So we want to get this out of the way as quick as possible, because if we lose frame control in the beginning, we've lost the interaction. So we want to build the rapport, get through the small talk, open, get through the crocodile brain into the neocortex. And now we want to basically start banging in. We want to start coming in, and we want to start setting frames in the head to where we can wrap this whole thing up. So let's talk about how we want to do that. The first thing that we always want to set is we want to set a time frame, because a time frame shows that you're an expert, that you're a professional, that you're not there to shoot the shit and BS around, that you value your time, right? And real professionals value their time. So the first thing we want to set is a time frame. And we can set a time frame by doing something like this. Well, John, I do want to be respectful of our time today. I've only got about 55 minutes before my next appointment. So I do have a hard stop at 11:55 today. At 11:55 today. So let's jump into it. But before jump into it, so let's jump into it. Now we want to apply a little takeaway, a little pricing, but very, very simple here. So this is an intrigue frame. So now we've set a time frame and we've set an intrigue frame. But before we do, I do want to be transparent with you and just set some clear expectations up front for us so we're both on the same page. Boom. Very, very easy there. And then once we get done with that, our dealer network works a bit differently than most. We are extremely, we're going to emphasize on that, selective with the individuals. We're extremely selective that we partner. Remember, we're selling a partnership program, so we want to keep mentioning that we partner with, instead of focusing on quantity. We focus on quality. With that being said, let's start today's call with you telling me about your store, your goals, and then I can spend some time showing you what we do, who we do it for, and how we do it so well. Fair enough? Boom. All right, so look at what I just did here, real quick. Very, very important. So I'm going to mark this. We're going to go to Suggestions tab. So I can make this a little bit bigger here. Suggesting, okay? Now we're going to go here, and we're going to mark this, and we're going to make a suggestion. So the suggestion is time frame has been set. So that's the time frame. We set a time frame in this first line, okay? The second line, we set what? We set an intrigue frame. Okay? Now we have an intrigue frame set in the second line. The third line, we're setting a prize frame because we're telling them, hey, you know, we focus on quality. We don't focus on quality. We're extremely selective. We're the prize. So right there, what do? We set a time frame. Very important. Or we set a prize frame. Very important there. Now we've got a time frame, an intrigue frame, and a prize frame. With that being said, let's start some call with you telling me a little bit about you, what we do so well. Fair enough. They're intrigued. Typically, this is not how sales calls go. So, you know, typically they're looking to be pitched. We're shifting the tables, letting them talk about their goals, their ambitions, their aspirations, all of that completely shifts the table. They're not ready to pitch you. It changes the whole dynamic of the interaction from a psychology standpoint. So, again, that sets another intrigue frame. So now look, what was our goal here? Our goal here, a couple of things. So we'll mark this. What was our goal? Our first goal, first line, come off powerful, and make sure you're one, an expert, two, a force to be reckoned with, three, sharp as a tack, four is you need to be very enthusiastic. You need to bring that A game, bring that energy. And then fifth, this all leads to, all of this equals, all of this combined basically leads to what? Getting out of the croc brain, from the croc brain, that's what our goal is, right? So that's our goal. All of that's right there. First line, come off powerful. Make sure you're bringing a first impression, right? Make sure you're an expert. Make sure you're a force to be reckoned with. Make sure you are sharp as a tack. Make sure you are energized and enthusiastic as hell. They need to feel your excitement through the other end of that phone. And if you nail this, you end up moving away from that crocodile brain, and you start moving to the neocortex and the limbic side of the brain, which is the emotional and the logical side of the brain. That's what we have to do right off the bat. So there's all of our details there, and we've got to build rapport too, so we can add that in there as well. But you know, we need to build rapport, be witty, be confident, etc., etc. So, boom. Now we go back to this. We've set all this in motion. We've set our frame. We've got a time frame set, an intrigue frame set, a prize frame set, an intrigue frame set. At this point, we own the frame, and we're about to control and dominate this entire call. So let's go back up to the top. And now we have covered the 3 elements that we wanted to discuss today. And let me make sure I get out of editing mode. So now we will remove these as completed. Done. Oopsie. My colors got screwed up. I'll fix that in a little bit, but anyways, there we go. So today we went through call preparation. We can consider that done. We went through open small talk report. We consider that done. And we went through frame control. We can consider that done. So on the next video, what are we going to be focused on? Well, we're going to be focused on the next 3, which will be very, very simple. So we're going to talk about how to allow the prospect to tell their story. On the next video, this is what we're going to focus on, and I'm going to teach you guys how to nail this point of the actual script. So we'll mark that yellow. Then we're going to talk about high-level elicitation, which we learned in week 1. We're going to be talking about how to stack the questions, how to nail assumptive, open, closed, when to ask them, how to ask them, and how to get all the information that you want from the prospect so you can social engineer them and, of course, better assist them. So there's that. That's going to be the second piece in the next video. And then the third piece, we're going to go into the third-party recommendation and the transition, and I'm going to show you guys how to absolutely nail that. And then we will continue to go through this step by step over the next week or so. So that concludes today's video, which is video number 2 of week number 2 in the Cell Ops program. Hope you guys enjoyed building this human hacking alchemy script with me. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Be great, kick some ass, and let's build $1 million producing script. Talk to you soon.